This is the Washington Township Land Use Board Reorganization and Regular Meeting of January 7th, 2026 at 7:04. Adequate notice of this meeting was published in the Daily Record on January 10th, 2025, and Observer Tribune on January 9th, 2025. This notice was posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building on the same date. Notices were mailed as requested. The order of the applications or resolutions may not be listed in the order they will be heard. No new cases or witnesses shall be heard subsequent to 10:30 p.m. Please join me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mendez.
Here.
Mr. Bauer.
Here.
Mr. Van.
Here.
Ms. McGroaty. Here. Mr. Marino.
Here.
Mr. Trevena.
Here.
Chair Price.
Here.
And we also have with us Mr. Mont,
Here.
Ms. Gorini, Mr. McCarver.
Here.
And Mr. DiGabriele.
Here.
And we have Engineer Schrek.
Here.
Planner Banisch.
Here.
And Attorney Thompson. Here. And myself. We do have oaths of office. I don't know if you want to administer those, Lisa? Sure. No, that one is not, it's, several people. It's, Marino's already done his, it's, Trevena, Ms. Gorini, and Mr. DiGabriele.
Do it all at the same time. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and I will perform the duties of a member of the Land Use Board in the Township of Washington, County of Morris, faithfully, impartially, and justly, to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
And please sign where it says name, and then get them back to me. Did you wanna say something, Mr. Randall? I heard you say something. Well, is it best to do it before we start elections, or did you want to?
There's no public portion, right?
Towards the,
The beginning of the,
beginning of the regular meeting. Okay. I'd like to open the floor for nominations for chairperson for 2026.
I nominate Jeff Price. Second.
Any other nominations?
I move to close nominations. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All you?
thank you very much. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to now entertain some motion for first vice chair. And I'd like to nominate Anthony in his absence.
Second.
Move that.
Close nomination.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Anthony, you got it. I'd like to take a nomination for the second vice chairman, excuse me. I'd like to nominate Eric.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Move to close nomination.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we have a few resolutions here. Can I do these all at once, or do they have to be one one at a time. For the funds, professionals, clerk, meeting dates, open public meeting, subcommittees, and adoption of the rules.
Did everyone have an opportunity to review all the resolutions on the agenda?
Yes.
Is there any objections or changes to any of those proposed resolutions?
So 05, the subcommittees, because we have lost
Okay, so,
Matt Morello, so I
so
don't know.
remove 05, but, that would be, 01, 02, 03, 04, and 06. If there are no changes or objections.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve those 5 resolutions.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bauer.
Aye.
Mr. Manning.
Aye.
Ms. McGroaty. Aye. Dan Marino.
Aye.
Mr. Trevena.
Aye.
Mr. Mendez.
Aye.
And Mr. Mont.
Aye.
And Chair Press.
Aye. Okay, so we'll get to the subcommittees at a later time during the course of our meeting.
Sure.
So right now, the reorganization meeting, I'd like to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Reorganization meeting, closed. Okay, now for our regular meeting, January the 7th. First order of business is another roll call.
Mr. Mendez.
Aye.
Mr. Bauer.
Aye.
Mr. Manning.
Aye.
Mr. McGroaty. Here. Dan Marino.
Here.
Mr. Trevena.
Here.
And Chair Press.
Here.
And Mr. Mont.
Here.
Ms. Gorini. Here. Mr. McCarver.
Here.
Mr. DiGabriele.
Here.
And all the professionals and myself as well.
All right, we have some minutes from December the 3rd. Not eligible. Ms. Gorini, you the only one?
Yeah, it was like,
Oh.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Any comments? Anything to discuss in the minutes? 6, 7 pages?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favour?
Aye.
And minutes pass. Now, I'd like to open to the public for items not on the agenda. We have a couple of resolutions, agro-foods, coffee potter, and some Highlands environmental groundwater recharge map. And that's it.
Hi.
Hi. Could you say your name?
Sure. Matt Morello. What's the name on it? It's not plugged in. Nope.
Not
No, there's not.
All right, I'll just use my big boy voice. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations on everyone on being sworn in. Again, I have to admit, this is a weird place for me to sit. But I want to take the opportunity and welcome back Ms. McGroaty. Thank you for your family, for your son's service, and first-time grandma? Wonderful. So happy to have you back. I want to take the opportunity and just simply say thank you. I really wasn't aware that December was going to be my last meeting on this board for this year until the committee had a chance to reorg, which we just recently did. And at that reorg, I was talking to Mr. Curioni, who's unfortunately not here tonight, and he had said to me something where he said that he thought this was going to be a really easy assignment because you guys don't really have a lot of things to do. And unfortunately, it kind of made me think, wow, you know, I really take advantage, or I take for granted sometimes the things that you guys do. And I've been on this board as long as I've been in office, 11 years now, and you guys are probably the most professional and seasoned, is that a better word to use than been here a long time? But I wanted to say thank you on behalf of the Township Committee. And for those, when we merged the boards, there was some people who really weren't on board with that. And this was a successful experiment that like we've never done else in the town because of you guys. And thanks to JoAnn, and I wrote this nice and big, so I have my glasses. But I wanted to thank, for those of you that really have been on the two different boards, and get you guys to understand. While Mr. DiGabriele's been here the shortest for, what, a couple months? 4 months. Okay. We have 4 people that have been here between 1 and 10 years. Ms. Gorini's been 8 years, Mr. Banisch 7, Mr. Mendez 7 as well, and Mr. McCarver 7. So I wanted to thank you guys for that. But we also have some people that have been here a lot longer than that. And yeah, I'm done reading. Mr. Mott's been here 21 years. Mr. Spina, who's not here tonight, 22 years. Mr. Bauer, 23 years. I know, he's thinking, where did the time go? Mr. Trevena, 23 years. Ms. McGroaty, 26 years. And Mr. Price, 31 years. That you've been on serving the town in either the planning or the zoning board, the land use board combined. As someone who goes to a lot of land use boards all over the state of New Jersey, I'm very proud of what you guys do and what you've accomplished and how you continue to keep this town the way it is and the way it's going to be for the near future. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. It has been a pleasure. Maybe I'll be back, but for this year, keep going, guys and gals. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'll be missed. You've been very, very helpful.
Okay, first resolution. Susan?
Yep.
Go open the public.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all public? Sorry. Oh, that's all right.
Did you bring your big boy voice?
No.
Exactly.
No.
I'll speak loud. If you can't hear me, just let me know. Get plugged in.
So could you state your name and your address, please?
Sure. My name is Mendez-Speir. I'm here tonight representing an S corporation called Long Valley Settlers. I'm here for some clarification.
Long Valley, last word?
Settlers,
Settlers.
which is kind of a weird name if you think about it, but here's the reason that it was named that. We're calling, for some clarification tonight on the properties at block 3512 and, sorry, glasses, and 3520, 16 and 20 Fairmount Road. I have a few questions, I'll try and keep them as brief, I know you have time constraints. I'm here tonight to find out what the status is of the Route 24 bypass. I have conflicting information on everything I look at. Can the
What's
board
the-
address that?
Mr. Schrek, I think that's it.
Yes. You know anything about 16 and 24, Paramount, son?
Okay, I'll take a shot, yeah. All right, are these two properties that you're asking about, are they located behind the brew pub?
Yes, as you go up Fairmount Road, you start with, 1 Snow, then the telephone building. Then the original house, which is on 0.55 acres, and then 20 is the 2 apartments and open field before you get to the Valley Shepherd.
Okay. The bypass that you're asking about was a long planned circulation improvement.
40 years.
Right, it was gonna circulate around behind the middle school, from East Mill Road,
Right.
through approximately that neighborhood that you just described.
Right through.
And it was gonna loop back up to Big Turn up here on the hill.
Right.
And then along came the Highlands. And the Highlands designation of preservation area on the side of Schooley's Mountain, just beyond where the municipal building is located, essentially rendered that project impossible because there are no standards within the Highlands Regional Master Plan that would permit the township or the county to construct that road. So for all intents and purposes, it's my opinion that the bypass does not have a future in Washington Township.
That's your opinion, but where does it stand? I own this property. I have owned it 298 years.
Well, I can tell you, it's not in any capital improvement
I
projects.
understand that.
Yeah, it's,
My research.
and as I
It's
explained a
not
moment ago,
controlled as of, I believe.
and I'll try to be somewhat more emphatic about it, there is no way to get regulatory approval to construct the bypass. as it was initially envisioned.
Okay, so then it would be open to zoning.
Is there an application pending relative to this, the site?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know what might be moving through.
David, is there reference to the bypass in the master plan?
Yes, it's still in there, which is why I came.
Yeah. Well, master plan hasn't been substantially upgraded with the exception of conformance with the Highlands Regional Master Plan since I think approximately 2003. So it's an old plan that's basically, it's just left there because that plan was adopted before the Highlands Act was signed into law and before, which was 2004, and before the Highlands Regional Master Plan was adopted in 2008. But once that law came along, it really changed the whole playing field, and I don't think there's a future for the bypass. And that's about the best information I can give you.
Okay, so that's in limbo as far as,
I wouldn't say limbo, I'd say it doesn't have a future.
can we get a definite determination on that?
Well, you can do your own research, you can read the regulations,
I have.
and you can figure out whether or not there's a way for Washington Township or the county to get an approval for the bypass. You might find members of the governing body somewhat receptive to anything that you may find, but as I said, it's my opinion that it hasn't got a future.
Well, I understand that they are not funding it as of 2012. Is that correct?
There's never been any capital improvement program to the best of my knowledge.
According to what I found.
There's no application pending before this board, so I don't know how this board can address those specific questions.
Well, as it pertains to the master plan, I answered those questions, and I think that's about as far as I can go, and thank you. Ms.
I
Thompson.
have several questions, so we'll
Okay.
hold on to the next one. Tonight we're voting on the water replenishment, which is designated on this property that we're talking about here. Can you clarify the difference between your zoning going from a historic district to, I believe you're calling it a conservation district?
Is this a question relative to an item that's on the agenda for
I can't
tonight?
hear you.
Is this a question relative to an item on the agenda tonight?
Yes.
Okay, then that's the appropriate time to ask that question, when that public hearing is open. This is open to the public for items not on the agenda.
Oh, but this is about the,
This is on the
when this,
agenda.
I understand that.
Right, so just,
When was the zoning changed?
again, the appropriate time to address an item on the agenda is when we get to that part of the agenda.
Well, I'm not talking about the water, I'm talking about the actual zoning on these two pieces of property. Can the board tell?
As far as I know, the zoning on those two pieces of property has not been changed for a very long time.
I lost count at 7.
Pardon?
I had lost count at 7 times on this property, how many times it's been rezoned.
I'll tell you what, I'd have to go to the zoning map, I'd have to look at those block and lot designations. But as far as I know, if those parcels are located on Fairmount Road, on the east side of Fairmount Road, south of the intersection of East and West Mill Road, there's been no zoning change there, to my knowledge, for at least 25 years.
So it's not in the conservative zone that it's showing on the map now.
It's the Highlands Conservation.
That's not zoning. Those designations are overlay designations that were brought on by the Highlands Regional Master.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out today. Because owning this property has become a nightmare as to who's controlling what and where, which is fine, you can understand. I pay taxes on this, my parents, my grandparents. Long Valley Settlers is the name of the corporation, because my maiden name was Swackhammer, the original settlers of Long Valley. All right? And what has been transpiring here is very disturbing. We have zoning changes, and we're just trying to figure out what direction to go. We had this property, pretty much sold. And then we had, well, that leads to my next question. In the township, who is responsible? Is it the MUA? Is it the township? Is it the DEP? Is it the EPA? Or is it the property owner that owns non-potable water on the property?
With responsibility.
I'm sorry.
The responsibility.
Only, who owns it? Who has the rights to determine
who has the rights to non-potable water on
Not
your
all
property?
water, yes. This was always part of the farm.
Another name's Schrek.
Are we the appropriate body for these questions, and if so, can we
No,
direct?
this is the land use board, and this is the board that hears and decides applications for site plan variances.
Well,
relative
we're
to the
going
existing
to-
ordinance, there's no application pending before this board, so you're asking us for specific information relative to a specific property, but there's no application pending before the
Well,
board,
this
so
is
it's
what I-
impossible for this board to render
No,
an
this is-
opinion or give advice.
This is a generic question. You all own the property in there now.
Okay,
Well, the
but-
way you phrase the question, the property owner is responsible for the non-potable water on the property.
Okay.
We haven't had the liberty of being told ahead of time what these questions might be. We don't know everything about a particular piece of property.
I'm trying,
So I'm trying to figure out the right place for you to go
We're
to
trying
get all this
to have some
information.
transparency here and some correct information.
For the occasional attorney, to help you with these questions.
Oh, it's in attorney's hands, yes.
That's true.
All right, but the question comes to who? Depending on who we talk to, we want to know, again, I want to know, who has the authority over the water?
And this board can't answer that question. This board doesn't have jurisdiction over that. This board hears and decides.
It's part of the Highlands, or you're not part of the Highlands?
No, this is the land use board.
When this board,
Right.
this project is for.
Right. So if you have questions with regard to your
It's
specific
not an
property,
application, I'm asking, what is the use for this property that we own?
there's no way this board could answer that question.
That's not our function. We decide whether there's a use variance to approve it, things like along those lines. We don't,
If you had a land use attorney retained, and you had a list of questions, they would be able to dig through all the public information and tell you exactly what you're looking for.
and also find out what person within the township we should be speaking to get answers to your
Right, well,
questions.
the attorney
It's not
is-
us.
The attorney is engaged, the attorney has requested over, and we've been denied.
Say that again, your attorney has requested
Over information.
over information. It's been denied.
And has been denied.
Well, he will know the next steps to take based on that. We have no,
Are you aware of any of this?
why would we be aware of it?
We're not made aware of these things.
Well, you're aware of them, that's been denied. My request that, after you do your presentation on your final meeting tonight, that, I may have some additional questions. All right.
So now this Oprah request was sent to the town by your attorney, do you have, what's your attorney's name?
My attorney sent it to the MUA. So that's the MUA.
Separate entity. It's not part of this.
It's in control of the township.
We're not. That's a separate
It's
entity.
by itself. The town is not controlling it. Who does control it? The MUA.
Your attorney should know these things. Assuming you got the right attorney that can hold your hand through this process, you should know what an MUA is, and that is a.
I know what it is, my husband served on the board. Yeah.
Okay?
Bill's not written, but.
Well, we're gonna come back later when we get to groundwater, right?
Yes,
All right.
very, very important. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public like to talk? Seeing no one? I'll close to the public, right, not on the agenda. All right, now, resolutions. Two of them, LEB 2516. The first one, Agro 3.
Chairman, do I have to recuse for this one? That's on topic?
Just abstain.
Just abstain.
You got it. Thank you.
So we have a 6-page resolution. We've all looked at it thoroughly and found any issues with it. See, there was a second revision that came out, something on it. I
There
go
was
for
a
it.
typo.
Typo. Anybody got any other issues with this resolution? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call, please, John.
Mr. Mendez,
Aye.
Mr. Bauer.
Aye.
Mr. Banish.
Aye.
Or you're not eligible.
Abstain.
Abstaining. Mr. Trevena.
Aye.
Mr. Mont.
Aye.
Chair Press.
Aye. Okay, resolution is approved. The next one is the coffee potter. Lot 27, lot 23 and 4. One-page resolution. Any issues?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please, John.
Who won that battle? Mr. Mendez.
Aye.
Mr. Bauer.
Aye.
Mr. Banish.
Aye.
Mr. McGroaty is abstaining. Ms. Marino.
Aye.
Mr. Trevena.
Aye.
Mr. Mont.
Aye.
And Chair Press.
Aye. Okay. We had an HMUA application, I came in and signed something for.
That was a waiver of site plan. We
Yeah,
did it.
so that's done too. Okay, Historic Preservation Committee applications, we had none. And actual applications, we have none. But what we do have are discussions and correspondence. The first one is the Highlands Environmental Resource Inventory. So David, take it away from here.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I believe that last month, the board adopted, the Highlands, water use and conservation plan element as an amendment to the master plan. And I don't think that there's any additional discussion that needs to be, undertaken with respect to that particular item. I think the formal action's already been taken.
Yeah, I think there was a provision that there was some drawings, some maps that needed to be swapped out with some of your maps.
Well, we will do that, when it is submitted to the Highlands Council.
Okay, all right. All right, I just want to hang it there.
Thank you for reminding me.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, the next bullet here is for the ordinance modifications for Heath Village, but I don't think we're there.
I'm not there yet, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, and the final bullet is groundwater recharge map, final review.
Okay.
So that's all yours, sir.
Yeah, just set it up today. So we grab it off this part. I mean, set it up.
That's okay.
But everybody, most everybody has it, either electronically or in front of them.
Very well, all good. Okay, so the subject of discussion here tonight is,
Should we see a copy of what you're all looking at?
Is this the version that you sent over,
Yeah.
today?
yeah, there was a second version today.
Okay.
Substantially the same as that which you received yesterday, which was a simplified version of information you previously have seen, I think, in October and November, or October, November, December. So this issue has been sort of kicking around out there for a while. And what this is the designation, actually the redesignation of Highlands prime groundwater recharge areas as municipally important groundwater recharge areas. So the mapping that you have in front of you identifies the Highlands boundaries, including the planning area boundaries on the northerly side of town and the central and southerly side of the town, the balance of which is all preservation area, but there are Highlands boundaries there. The map also includes community facilities, which are outlined in kind of a purple or magenta color. And those are facilities that are owned, operated, maintained for the benefit of the public in Washington Township by one or another of municipal agencies, Board of Ed, Township, fire, first aid. Then also shown on this map, outlined in red, are parcels that are owned by the Township of Washington. The green overlay is all deed restricted land in the municipality, and the blue overlay is the municipally important groundwater recharge area designation. Now, the reason that the town is looking at a municipally important groundwater recharge area designation and the change from prime groundwater recharge area designations, the idea for this was originally prompted by round 4 compliance with affordable housing obligations, having to do with the Newburgh Road site that's included in the round 4 plan. That site has water and sewer. It was previously approved in the 90s for an industrial park development. The site was partially developed and then abandoned after roads were cut in and utilities were installed, including stormwater, drainage, water, and dry sewer pipes been laid in the roadway network that's already been constructed out there with no pavement. That site was identified as a round 4 compliance site for Washington Township to address its 173 unit affordable housing obligation for round 4. Only a portion of that site, however, will address that. But the municipally, or the prime groundwater recharge area designation in the Highlands Regional Master Plan has a limitation of disturbance associated with it. And the limitation of disturbance associated with it is 25% of the area on the parcel that is designated as a prime groundwater recharge area is the limit of disturbance that's permitted under the comprehensive, the regional master plan. And so that frustrates the developer's ability to build out an inclusionary development on Block 8, Lot 8 on Newburgh Road. And so the Highlands Council, when they were consulted about this particular limitation, offered the municipality the opportunity to designate what are called municipally important groundwater recharge areas, kind of like an alternate to a prime groundwater recharge area designation. They're more expansive than the prime groundwater recharge area designation is, that's identified in the regional master plan. And it also gives the municipality the ability to remove, on certain sites that are selected by the municipality, to remove the municipally important groundwater recharge area designation, which would then remove the 25% cap on disturbance, because if the designation isn't identified on a particular piece of parcel, or a particular piece of property rather for development, then there's no 25% cap on municipally important groundwater recharge areas. So by making this change, or by taking advantage of the offer to make this change, this mapping exercise is for the planning board to make recommendations that'll be sent over to the Highlands Council to remove the blue designation from any parcel of land that is shown on this map. On this map, what we're suggesting you start with as a baseline for changes are those parcels that are numbered by identification number in the key on the lower left-hand side of the page, which are the municipal facilities. Also, Block 8, Lot 8, which is a round 4 inclusionary development affordable housing site. And in reviewing this mapping with the mayor today, it came to light that Califon Fields are identified as municipally owned land with some municipally important groundwater recharge area designation on it. And also the Palmer Park is another site, municipal park, that has a designation on it. So those can be added to the 14 sites that are identified as a key.
Still missing the health annex on
West Mill?
Yeah, the old police station.
Those blocks.
Right, the fuzz, okay, thank you. That communicates, thank you. Okay, so we'll add the
First
first.
thing you notice, no thanks.
Health annex? We'll add that to the map. But, what we're here to do tonight is I'm here to ask you again for a final look at these designations and see if there are any parcels that you see particularly with the focus on municipally owned land. Whether there are parcels where this designation should be removed before this map is submitted to the Highlands Council for review and approval. Now, following the submission of the map, after we receive your recommendations, the council will make a determination as to whether or not they can agree to the changes that are being requested. And if they do agree, then they're gonna send back correspondence and they're gonna request that the township committee adopt the map so that it becomes the regulatory document that controls for land use applications that come in for development in the future. And anytime this municipally important groundwater recharge area designation appears on a parcel of land that's proposed for development, it will have to conform to the maximum disturbance limit of 25% of the municipally important groundwater recharge area that's designated on the parcel. It's a somewhat complicated issue, so I just want to check in with you and see if everyone understands what I'm talking about.
So let's just say we had a 10-acre lot,
Yeah,
and there was an area that was 1 acre that is this blue area.
yeah.
What lot coverage would you be able to have, or what lot disturbance would you be allowed on that 10 acres?
Well, if there's 1 acre of municipally important groundwater recharge area, it would be a little more than 10,000 square feet. It would be a quarter of an acre, 25% of that 1 acre on that 10-acre lot. And that does not necessarily have anything to do with the amount of impervious coverage that's permitted on the site. That's regulated by an entirely different set of standards. Your ordinance standards and the stormwater management rule.
So let's say a 10-acre lot in Highlands would only allow you, was it 1 acre? Can't remember what there's a certain disturbance.
Quarter acre of impervious or an acre of disturbance is major Highlands development in the preservation area.
So if I own a 10-acre lot, which I don't,
Right.
this would actually restrict even further what I can do there.
And where you could do it if this light blue designation appears on your parcel somewhere. Because if this light blue designation appears on your parcel, you may only disturb up to 25% of it.
I have a few questions, actually.
Shoot.
Unless everybody has some questions.
Oh,
This is the time for questions.
Well, because I also want to understand like what we're not doing here. So, number one, the blue zone.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Who generated that?
The Highlands Council.
Okay, so this board didn't do that, and we're getting a one-time shot to adjust that.
That is correct.
Okay. Number two, what you're asking of us is only for municipal owned property? You're not asking for us to look at anything that's privately owned, correct? This is municipally owned?
You may make any comments you choose to make about the removal of this designation on any parcel of land in town.
With or without the property owner's consent?
Yes.
Okay.
You're the planning agency here in town, and anywhere you see that there is land that you believe is a future candidate for development that coincides and agrees with essentially the master plan and zoning in town, and you see that this designation may be a hindrance to the future development of that property, you can recommend removal of the designation on that parcel as part of this process.
Is there a legend somewhere of how many privately owned parcels are impacted by this and how many would be further restricted? I'm not in favor of restricting anybody's property beyond our own zoning.
Right. Well, the changes can be made within, no, there's no legend. You could probably safely assume that everything that isn't outlined in red is privately owned, for the most part. You know, there's some county land in here that isn't specifically called out and identified. And I don't think we have any federal land in the municipality. So it's pretty much everything that doesn't have a red polygon around it.
But so, while we're in this process, can 200 property owners come up and say, hey, I want mine, I want mine cleared?
Sure they could.
And we have to sit, and we have to listen to everyone and say yes or no, or?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
It seems that we're acting on their behalf as a.
Yeah.
No?
Well, these designations, you have to keep in mind, these designations were made in 2008 as part of the Highlands Council's adoption of the Highlands Regional Master Plan. These development standards were put in place at that time. Okay, so everyone with land in town may or may not have, as you can see, many parcels do not have the designation at all.
Right, but we didn't have much of a choice about that.
Right.
Here.
This is a, yes.
But this is also like a black box, right? Like we could ask our town, who wants to be on the list? And they come up here and they sign up, they say, I want my property off the list, and we submit it, and then the council just says, no.
Exactly right.
Okay. But we have nothing to do with that decision-making process, except for suggesting that a parcel is removed, correct?
Yes.
We can add,
Designate.
we can't force trade, we can only suggest that these parcels should be
Yes.
omitted.
Yes, and keep in mind that what prompted this whole exercise was Washington Township's willingness to address its affordable housing obligation,
Okay.
where this designation became a hindrance to a site that was selected on the basis of its location, water and sewer availability, and the fact that it was a previously partially developed commercial piece of property. So site selection had a big piece to do with where the proposed inclusionary zoning is going to be put in place to address a portion of your affordable housing obligation. The council staff, or rather the Highlands council staff, came and met with us to look at the site, identified all of the constraints that would frustrate Washington Township's ability to use this site to address a portion of the affordable housing obligation, and said, there's a way we can offer you some help in terms of enabling the township to address its affordable housing obligation on this site. And oh, by the way, if you see on this map there are other sites that you think should be removed from this designation, please identify them for us
That's
now.
Pandora's box there.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
So,
The drawing we have in front of us, that's from 2008, or is it been changed?
It has been changed.
What are the changes?
Well, you might recall that the previous mapping that you saw had yellow and blue designations, and there was a lot of green on the map. And that's where there was overlapping. The yellow designations were prime groundwater recharge areas. The blue designations were the municipally important, the proposed municipally important groundwater recharge area designations. And all of the green on the map were where those two designations overlap. So what they look at is they look at the ability of the soils to recharge groundwater. And so this is not, these blue designations are not as good at groundwater recharge as the prime groundwater recharge area designations are in some cases, but they're still pretty good. And the Highlands Council recognizes them as resources suitable for designation as a groundwater recharge area.
I think that this puts us in a very precarious situation. Without having, like, we're in a position where we could potentially completely clear out somebody's private site for development.
You know, I have to say something about that.
Okay.
Yes, but this board has done that historically
Okay.
through the master planning and zoning process. The zoning, zoning is one of those aspects of municipal control over land use that can make millionaires or paupers.
Sure.
And it's not generally done by recognizing, in fact, it's never done recognizing, I mean, this act,
Yeah.
never done by recognizing the ownership characteristics of the land. It's in looking at the location of the land and the character of the land and its suitability for a particular type of zoning or land use.
Okay.
Okay, so this exercise, while it may seem that way to you, this is really no different than the master planning process that this board has engaged in historically.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
No, I do.
Ease a little bit of the pain.
If I have it just seems a little bit different in this regard because it's actually removing a historically difficult, prescription that the Highlands Council put down.
Let's look at another example. If we were talking about slopes, right, because you have strict slope controls, if we were talking about slopes,
Yeah.
then you could be taking away limitations on slope disturbance. That would make a project that really isn't developable,
Gotcha.
suddenly developable.
We could say you're allowed to do it at 25 to 30% now instead of stopping at 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are also controls in zoning already that encourage the avoidance of, for example, prime agricultural soils. Because this township has identified the preservation of those soils and the use of those soils for agricultural purposes as a goal, a planning goal locally.
Okay.
So this is not so different from that, it's just a different resource that we're talking about, if you'll permit me to make that analogy.
Another question, is there a limit? Let's say, let me say like over blue is gone, can we do that?
That's not gonna happen.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Is there a guideline from council saying?
No, they did not give me a guideline like that. They just said that this was an important touchstone to look at the mapping and try to avoid parcels that are important for the municipality to develop in the future. Of my own volition, I prepared that list on the lower left-hand side of the page. A few of those parcels don't even have the municipally important groundwater recharge area designation on them. But I felt that going forward, the Board of Ed, the township, these other agencies should not be thwarted in any kind of a development proposal that they may make to provide better services to the residents of Washington Township. That's why you see that list there.
Okay. And one more question, like, so you go through this exercise, you take it or take, goes to the council, later on, can we still then decide, or somebody comes in like, I want to develop, can we change that at that point too? Do an application, or at that point it's like stuck for the council says, no, you decided and now?
Right, based on the discussions I've had with the council so far, this is a one bite at the apple exercise.
Okay.
It was prompted by round 4 compliance, but that's what they said.
Okay.
Now, I can't say what they would do if there was a very important development priority that presented itself at some point in the future after this action is taken. Because, for example, to use something completely unrelated to this, but kind of similar to it, there have been municipalities who have diverted recreation and open space land through a process made available through the Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Program, where a parcel of land that has been previously designated in perpetuity for recreation or open space has been allowed to be diverted from that designation when a municipality provides compensation. So, the state agencies, I would just say generally, recognize that hardships arise from time to time. And I would not expect them to be inflexible, but I would expect them to not want to be making these kinds of changes on a routine basis. I think there'd have to be a compelling public need.
What's the final timeline on this? What's the scope?
Well, there's no beauty. If the town doesn't submit it, it could make round 4 compliance difficult. I would suggest taking action now and moving this through the process because it's prompted by round 4 compliance and we're right in the middle of round 4 compliance. We haven't gotten through the court process.
So I mean, is the one action potentially where we could say, So one action would be, we wanna make sure that the numbered sites, plus I think a couple of the other ones that were mentioned that are not here yet.
Yeah, a couple of parks.
Number one, we would like to have those removed.
Yes.
Or number
What's
two,
our number on it?
we would like to make sure that all municipal or township-owned properties are removed.
Re-blue.
Yeah, right? But then I'm not sure that I would feel comfortable with beyond that for anything else.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to fully kind of understand the process.
Yeah.
As far as, round three applications, there's nothing in round three that needs to be looked at.
The major round three site on this map is Heath Village. That's the big one, and it is white on this map. There is no designation on that parcel. A minor parcel, to the west on lot 7, near the Muscatine Dock. But it's a very minor, and I do not believe that they'll be proposing any disturbance in that area. And because it's such a modest designation, I wouldn't expect it to thwart their ability to execute their plan.
That's back at the, it's all back near the Eagles Nest anyway, right?
Not exactly on that side of the lot near the Eagle's Nest, but
Okay.
closer to the river. I think we're both looking at the same dot.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then the round 4 application is the Newburgh one.
correct. And then the Kings Highway site is completely exempt because it's a Highlands exemption. So none of the standards in the Highlands Regional Master Plan apply to redevelopment of the Kings Highway site within 125% of the existing impervious coverage as of June of 2004.
Just to be clear,
Vote on this thing? On this?
The firehouse is carved out, the other doesn't look like it's constrained.
Thank you. Yeah, it's clean. No, the Cooper Council's no designation. That's what I see here. And that, and you're right, Mr. Mont, that is an unmet need site in the round 4 plan. So once it's eligible for brownfields development, that would also be addressing a portion of the round 4 obligation.
Is there a way to identify the areas or lots that are already developed? Like I'm looking at all these developments and stuff, and in some ways it looks onerous, but I would speculate that if you put a dot on every lot that was already developed, there's probably not a lot left that's actually subject to development or available for development. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
What does this actually, if everything was taken out off the table that was really not developable, whether it be steep slopes or it's already been developed or there's some other issue that presents itself,
Yeah.
I think you probably find there's not a lot left, but it would be nice to know that, to see who's actually impacted.
If we took all the class 2, single-family residential, and 1 and 2 family residential, and the multifamilies, there wouldn't be much left on this map. You're right about that.
It would just be nice, because that way we could really narrow it down and see what that McGroaty area would really impact, like whose lot is that really going to impact? I don't know, I guess I would just feel more comfortable if I knew what that was. Because then it really narrows things down as well.
Well, I'm also wondering how many of the homes already built come in later to add on for family.
Yeah, does it impact them or are they exempt for it?
They're exempt.
They're exempt.
They're exempt. Additions to existing single-family dwellings, changes in existence as of 2004, don't have to comply.
Regardless of whether the color blue.
Yeah, regardless of this belonging. Yeah.
So it would only be for new developments of either existing lots that have been subdivided, or somebody would come in and would try to subdivide lots, but they're subject to Highlands.
Right.
And everything else that's rolled in here.
Or non-residential development as well, that would not be exempt. And of course, the triggers there would be quarter acre.
Right.
Yeah, so, yes.
It's already incredibly tight, and this just in some ways
bills of allowing accessory dwelling units on properties with that?
Not a problem. Accessory dwelling, well, for the most part, I would expect it to be not a problem. Accessory dwelling units are usually less than 1,000 square foot footprint. You know, so that's not really a terribly big light. You know, if it's on a 1 acre lot, and it's 40,000 square feet, you know, that's not a heck of a big footprint on the site. And I wouldn't expect this to. I think it would probably be exempt. I think 1 and 2 families are exempt.
All right, so to capture what Tim was saying, if we took all the Washington Township owned properties and removed the BUD, and then the round 4, Newburgh Road, remove that, would that be a good day's work?
I think so, but I would add Califon Fields and Palmer Park to that.
Right, the first one.
Yeah.
So we're proposing the township owned and community facilities, plus the one we're missing? That's what it says.
Everything that's.
Yes, the fuzz box, yeah, the 2 parks, and the list on the left.
Okay.
I think the buzz box is carved out, isn't it, by the bar in Westville Road? See some red under that. Maybe it's not a new red, but I think it's there.
Should be. Yeah, I think it is good.
That's there, but.
Yeah, it's already carved out, but
Yeah.
I'll make a point of calling it out by block and lot number.
And I think out one.
Pardon me?
It's my property.
And Palmer.
Got a block and lot number,
Mr.
Mendez?
So do we need to, make a decision on that, or find out the board, right? Or do we have a new map and have another round of discussion?
I would request that you just authorize me to make these changes, submit them to the Highlands Council for comment and direction. And we may get another bite at this as it comes back to the Township Committee.
Because it still has to be approved by them, correct?
Oh, yeah, none of this happens without the Township Committee adopting this by
So
ordinance.
we're just making it advisory to the Highlands Council and the town council about what our requests are. None of this has been being codified tonight.
Agreed, yes.
But we have to make some kind of a formal decision here, right?
Gotta keep it moving, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
It's all part of round 4.
So I'm gonna open it to the public for any questions or comments on this particular subject. You see what we're going to do? We're gonna do only the Washington Township owned properties and the one round 4. Aye.
Just want to make sure I understand, is the township removing the prime groundwater recharge designation throughout the entire township? No, okay, because I didn't see it on the map, so I just wanted to make sure. This is only regarding the municipally important designation.
This designation is going to replace the prime groundwater recharge area designation.
So if it's approved by the Highlands Council and by the township committee,
Yes,
the entire township will no longer have any prime groundwater recharge designation.
it's going, that's right, it's going to have municipally important groundwater recharge area designations. And I don't have the mapping with me tonight, I'm sorry, but there was a tremendous amount of overlap between the 2 designations.
Okay, thank you, I just wanted to clarify.
But we're only doing this because Washington Township owned the property that we own, not that
Yeah,
everybody else.
I understand. Thank you.
Well,
Again, for clarification, the maps that were published, not the one issued tonight, is the one you did not have with you, and that had the yellow and green. It's also missing one of the migration areas, you have MIGWRA,
I'm sorry, will you please repeat the comment?
the map that was published prior to tonight, had the green and yellow designations on it also, which covered the property that I'm here to discuss. This one now shows that property clear of both the yellow, which is not shown on here, and the blue. So I would like to know.
This
map shows it clear.
Clear, it's what?
Right, she's saying previous.
No designation,
No, it's-
no limitation.
Right. The previous issue map.
It may, I don't know.
The previous
It
one
may have had a
was
designation
yellow.
or not.
That was, the previous one was a pig road.
Yeah, the pig,
So does that, so that, let's say, so her particular property in question, the previous map had it listed as a pig road. Now it is completely clear of this McGroaty map. Oh, is that yellow map gone?
Yeah,
It also
Okay.
had green. It was both yellow and green on
Well,
the property.
Those are the.
if I understand which parcels you're talking about, I think, based on what I'm looking at, I think they're clear of any designation on this map. There may be a very small inclusion.
I got my strongest glasses on, that I have to with me.
Mr. Banish, the map you're looking at right now, what's the date on that? Mr. Banish, the map you're talking about is the one that indicates December 2025 in the upper left corner?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think they're on the east side.
Yes.
I think they're these right here.
Would you like me to point it out to you?
That's the sheep farm.
Well, no, I think the sheep farm may be this guy. Sure. Looks like there's a little bit of blue in the back, yeah. Yeah, so that's it, that's how this map's got being submitted. I did not make the determinations that came from the house.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir. State your name and address, please.
My name's Michael Diesel, I live in Long Valley. Family's lived here since 1980, so longtime residents here in town. I would just be curious to understand how we go from seeking the Highlands approval to make a change in the designation for that round 4 approval to suddenly having blue areas all the way out to Pickle Road, which is clearly all the way on the other side. It feels rather opportunistic as opposed to just trying to solve for that particular problem. I'm curious to understand the pressing need or burden on the town to open up these other parcels. I'd also be curious to understand just the process by which the rest of the town will have an understanding. You mentioned Califon Fields and Palmerfield, I beg your pardon.
Park, yeah.
So just the town would have an understanding, people who have their kids play sports there, do things like that, what that potentially would mean for the change and make up those fields and those facilities, that they go from a very minimal use or building or intrusion, that 25% barrier you had suggested, to something much more significant if it's removed, and just the town or all of us have a better understanding of what that means.
Well, so far as I'm aware, there are no plans right now on the table to do anything in California.
No, I understand, there's no plans at all right now on any of these that you're going to designate, but it clearly opens them up now to the opportunity that wouldn't have been there previous.
Well, the opportunity would have been there. There just may have been a limitation of 25% on the prime groundwater recharge area portion of it. So, in the context of what I think I'm hearing you say, before any kind of an undertaking for a capital improvement would be proposed, I think that the governing body would be interacting with the public in the vicinity of those facilities and provide an opportunity for comment. Because my guess is, and the mayor and I had a brief conversation about this earlier, it's like, well, what if suddenly it's a skate park or something like that, kind of like roller hockey or something, and you want to build an outdoor rink like that. That would be a change, in the alignment of the priorities for sports. And something like that invariably would go to the public. So it's not like anything,
I was just gonna add, you know, a lot of what we do is look at single-family homes and smaller things, but a lot of our ordinances look out 20, 30, 40 years what's gonna be here. And to limit ourselves from the ability to make a decision today for what we might need in the future, I think that's why we wanna do this.
So this is probably a broader question, perhaps more philosophical, but the view of what Washington Township looks like 20 or 30, 40 years from now, with the potential for development in these blue areas. And I'm not a NIMBY guy at all. I understand that development and responsible development is very important for our communities and the people that want to live in this area. I'm not arguing against that. But development, or the opportunity for development for the sake of development for growth, absent a very concerted and intentional plan, is a fear that I have for the future of this town. And the idea that we go, just the opportunistic and almost land grab nature of the way that this feels right now, going from a just proposal on Newburgh Road to suddenly now this much broader map that's being introduced. Like I said, properties all the way out to Pickle Road, which I think is probably
those
the complete opposite
designations,
side.
those designations exist now. Perhaps not exactly to this extent, but those designations already exist in Washington Township from the north to the south.
But there's some level of protection, at least right now, based upon the way the Highlands Act is structured, in my understanding.
There's a phenomenal amount of protection based on the way the Highlands Act is constructed, and this isn't changing anything about that.
That change to the MIGWRA, does that remove the Highlands at all from any of these decisions
No,
going forward?
not at all. That is a legislative line that was enacted by the legislature. So the 88% of Washington Township that is preservation area remains preservation area. It's not gonna change. Very high density, or excuse me, very low density development is permitted in the Highlands. As you were talking, I was thinking to myself, I'm not gonna be here in 30 or 40 years, but this town's gonna look a whole lot like it does today in 30 or 40 years. In at least 88% of this town.
If you look historically at the ordinances and the zoning that we've put forth, this town, the planning board, and the township committee with steep slopes and, you know.
No, I understand the protective nature of the zoning at this point and what it's done, but it's just, when you see the change, when you see the color, when people see the color on the map without an understanding of what it potentially means, it will cause some alarm. It will, right?
Well,
People will see,
there's
and
a
so
lot of-
better, some education around what it potentially means or doesn't mean is perhaps even more important.
Yeah.
That's just a suggestion, right? Because I think people will see colors, they'll be a bit shocked and think, what is happening to the protection of our land? And so some education on what it potentially means, or like I said, more importantly, perhaps what it doesn't mean for the development here in town, I think would be really, really important for those of us who have children, and the idea that perhaps they would be here to enjoy this town for all the same reasons we did, and we all came back to raise kids here, I think is really, really important.
So blue areas aren't moving restrictions.
That's right.
Correct.
Right, so just
Maybe
clarify,
it's consistent.
all the blue that's on this map is not public way.
It's not, that isn't removing
It's not
restrictions.
removing,
Wait.
It's map is good.
Except in the municipal.
except in the
Only
municipal.
municipally owned areas,
Only
which are in red.
Well, I guess what's not clear to me is you're only suggesting municipally owned at this time in the blue, but those areas in blue now would be available in the future if the town decided they wanted to?
No.
So you're only going to Highlands with just those red areas?
With just that key in the lower left-hand side of that
And
map,
that's it, and plus Palmer and.
Califon Fields and the Newburgh Road side.
It is blue,
Right, and the fuzz box, the health center.
Yeah, I think you had your interpretation
I did.
opposite of what the reality is.
And it's not for California, for fields for the town to come in and say, well, buildings or development in there. It's to prevent a pool 20 years in the future, or a skate park, or something like that, that would have prevented us. This just sort of allows us to grow in recreation.
Or even in addition to an existing school.
There you go.
Right,
That's
or extend the
that's the
library.
thing. Your larger facility to serve.
So the blue areas inside
the red squares or the red,
Are the ones that are designated right now.
right, and those are the ones that are.
Tentatively targeting, those are identified by the 14.
Yeah, but all those big polygons that have blue in the middle of them, they're not on the list.
Those are privately owned.
Yeah, we are not taking any
Yeah,
action.
those municipally owned lands that have those blue designations that are large parcels are not part of the list that's being submitted.
Okay.
So,
It's just those red ones.
well, it's just the parks and the list on the left.
The one with the numbers.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
okay.
Does that clear?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
apologize.
because
if it's getting like
yeah, I mean,
layered
that
down.
clears it up. It's helpful to understand that those 14 plus the 2 are the only ones, like I said, because if there's any suggestion that perhaps I misinterpreted some of the comments, that there was this idea that we should at least be going for those, if not more. And I wanted to be clear that there wasn't this idea that we were all gonna talk about these 14, and then all of a sudden it got a lot bigger when it went in front of Highlands.
No.
Okay,
Were you here for the mayor's comments at the beginning of the meeting?
I was.
Yeah. Had me thinking as he was talking about that, because I had the pleasure to serve here for a while myself. The land use board historically has been a very fierce defender of protecting the character of this town. I can remember one night being here until something like 10 minutes to 3 in the morning, over an application, fighting over how best to preserve a site. I mean, that's the board that you have that serves you, that's volunteers here. And I think it's important to be aware of that.
Sometimes the questions are asked to the point of absurdity, so we can understand really what we're doing.
Right. But, and so my misunderstanding and clarification is very helpful then as well, just to make sure that those of us who aren't here arguing until 3 o'clock in the morning also have an understanding of what it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you for bringing it.
So, I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you too.
Okay. Bill?
Just wanted a quick point of clarification. Mr. Banisch, you just said the mayor's comments at the beginning of the meeting. I just want to clarify that Mr. Morello is
Oh.
the mayor.
All right, well,
Thank
thank you, Lynn.
I didn't know, I didn't hear it.
So many times. It's like twins. Like twins.
I sure hope so. I'd like a motion to,
We need some kind of a formal.
you know, move it along, if the board's so inclined. Highlands Council? Yep, for review and approval to come back to the township committee as a possible ordinance.
With the addition of the several sites, definitely.
Yes, Mr. Martin.
So there's the motion.
Second.
So everybody knows things that's going on.
He asked me to text him.
Oh, we can go here.
Well, he volunteered because he knows at the time I don't pick up the phone.
So I made the motion and Tim seconded it. Okay, a roll call, please.
Mr. Mendez.
Aye.
Mr. Bauer.
Aye.
Mr. Banish.
Aye.
Mr. McGroaty.
Just to clarify before I vote, did we talk about this prior meetings?
Yes, we did, but not like this is an application. You know, if you feel confident in, you know, taking an opinion and making a vote, I think, you know, we've had a full discussion of this tonight.
Okay, then aye.
Mayor Marino.
Aye.
Mr. Trevena.
Aye.
Mr. Mont.
Aye.
And Ms. Reed. And Geoffrey.
Aye. Okay, any